evening, darlings, and welcome to episode 8. I had to double check because I just can't even believe it's been 2 months of Greenwood Talks, darlings. 2 months. It's just so wonderful. I know I always am so surprised by how much time's gone by, but really it just seems to fly by. So, we do have a couple of questions, so I'm going to try to keep it a little bit short at this time. You know, I do have a tendency to just go on and on with you all. So, the first one, someone said they didn't want their name disclosed, so they've used a little bit of a name instead that they prefer to be addressed by. So let me just read the prompt. So it says, Dear King Thronduil, I'm currently trying to end a not-so-happy relationship. I've pretty much gotten through how I'm going to tell them that it's over, but I'm not sure how to console myself once it's done. You see, I'm still quite in love with them. I just know that we're not meant to be. How should I proceed with dealing with my own heart and how it conflicts with my mind? All of the best, a concerned elf. Oh dear darling, I think that's the hardest type of a breakup to have, is the one where you know it's for the best, even though you still have feelings for them, particularly if they also have feelings still for you. I think that's probably the most difficult, but also sort of one of the healthiest things that you can do, is to get out of these relationships before they get to the point where they're just too much for one or both of you. So I will say, it's not easy. There's no quick fix. Although I do find, a couple glasses of wine always help to take the edge off, darling. So it sounds like you've got everything sorted out about what you're going to tell your lover. So I'm not even going to go into that. Let's just concentrate on you, darling, because of course that's who's most important. So I think you should make sure that you keep in mind that, of course, you are the person you need to be looking out for the most. And there's no shame in ending a relationship that you're not getting out of either what you need or what you wanted, or it's just not it's not an even exchange of give and take between both of you. So you have to remember, even though it will be difficult, I'm not going to lie to you, darling, it's going to be very painful as you work through it, but remember that you are working through it, and there's nothing wrong with having a few moments of weakness or being overcome with emotion. That's all part of the process. You just have to make sure that you're continuing to move forward. I think sometimes what happens, whether we're the ones that have been broken up with or who have done the breaking up with, sometimes it's very easy for us to just sort of wallow a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with letting yourself just sort of feel sorry for yourself, that we need to be able to sort through our emotions to work through them, but remember that this is for the best. And so, as difficult as it is, it's going to save both you and your partner a lot of pain and suffering in the long run. And so this is sort of the best thing you can do for both of you, not just for yourself, although of course that's who's most important, darling, don't forget that. So I would say try to surround yourself with sort of supportive people. Don't go for people who are just going to be like, you did the right thing and screw him and that sort of thing, because I think sometimes our friends can be so overjoyed, or our family can be so enthusiastic about the fact that you've ended a relationship. It can actually be hurtful for that part of you that still loves them. So make sure it's someone who sort of understands that there's still some feelings there, some residual emotions, and it's not just pure celebration for you. There's also a loss, because when you have a relationship, part of that sadness is you're mourning a bit of yourself that you're losing, because of course whenever you're in a relationship, you make that relationship sort of a part of who you are, and so learning to say goodbye to something that is still a part of you, for better or worse, is very difficult, and there's no shame in that. So I wish you the best, because of course it's going to be quite difficult, darling, but if you want to talk more, of course my inbox is always open for you. Now there's only one more very brief question that I have, and then we'll wrap things up for this week. But there's so many papers on this desk from all these videos. I'm trying to find where it is. No. Here we go. Sorry about that. Dear King Thronville, I recently have been wanting to get a puppy. Oh, they're so sweet, aren't they? But my boyfriend is not so keen on pets. What should I do? Oh dear. Well, darling, do you know why he's not so keen on pets? Is there an allergy? Is it perhaps some sort of childhood trauma? Or does he simply just not like animals? Which, I mean, there are a few people out there, I suppose, who don't like animals, or perhaps specifically the pets that you've suggested. I would see if there is some sort of reason behind why he doesn't want to get a puppy or some other sort of pet. If there is a pet, of course, that he's interested in, I think perhaps you should sort of start there. But remember, of course, getting a pet is sort of a big deal if you're getting it as a couple. I'm not sure how long you've been together, and I'm not questioning your relationship. I just want to say that now. But I think sometimes there's sort of a childlike custody battle that can happen when relationships end. So it may be that he's just worried about if something doesn't work out with you. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not expecting you all to be together in the long term, darling. It just means that that he's concerned. And some people just have anxiety, and so they worry about all the little things that could possibly go wrong. So it's not a reflection necessarily of anything that he's feeling towards you or your relationship in particular. It just could be sort of a general concern. And perhaps there's some way you could find a compromise. Perhaps if it is about sort of what might happen if things don't end up well between you, you both could sort of work out either a proposal of worst case scenario if something did happen, or perhaps some sort of deal where you each get your own whatever. Whether perhaps puppies is not the best thing to get two of at the same time, but perhaps something smaller to start out. You know, get yourself an adorable little snake, or get yourself some of those cute little stag beetles, or perhaps finches, or some small bird or something like that. You know, something where it's not too much of a time commitment, in case something does go wrong. Of course, short-lived pets sort of make it a little easier, because you never know what's going to happen with that goldfish. So I don't mean to seem too cold about it, darling, but just see if there's not some sort of compromise that you both can come to about the pet issue. And if not, is this really something that's a make or break for you? And if it is, then you certainly need to talk about that, the both of you, I think, and just see if that really is a breaking point for one of you. So all the best, darlings, and I can't wait to talk to you all again next week. So ta-ta.